So today's subject on scams, how to avoid scams, what they are, what are the latest scams, and we'll talk about that. I have three experts here coming today as panelists, and we'll talk about starting off with what they are, how they are, how they've been applied, and how you can prevent yourself from becoming a victim. So we'll do about 45 minutes to an hour of the talk, and then if you want to write down as we go along, now you'll notice in the handout you can write down there's spaces to write, but also on the third page is kind of the order in which we'll touch on these points, and I have some other questions myself as we go. So I'd like to introduce, have our guests come up, Dean, Eric, and Justin. You guys can have a seat. And we'll have each of you just give a brief introduction of what you do at the bank, and in the case of Dean, Eric at the bank, and in the case of Justin as a detective at the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office.
My name is Dee. I work at Sandia area Federal Credit Union. I'm a card specialist with dispute and fraud. That's kind of my main role there. So we handle a lot of the card disputes and Zelle fraud and things like that. I've been there for about 3 years.
Hello everybody, nice to see you, nice to be here. My name is Eric Mitchell. I'm a certified fraud examiner. I work as an analyst at Sandia Laboratory Federal Credit Union. Hope our members are here and if not, come join. See, I am the fraud analyst, so I handle all the credit card, debit card fraud, anything with cards fraud, I handle that. Learn about this wonderful stuff we're going to speak about today.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Justin Bishop. I work for the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. I'm what's called a white-collar crimes detective. I'm the only white-collar crimes detective for our department, so it's anything and everything to do with financial crimes is what I work. So anything I'll report to Bernalillo County, I'll see it.
So how many of you have either been a victim of a scam or know somebody who has? So this is not an uncommon thing. Yeah, it's crazy how they can really succeed at this. And I hope we can enlighten, give you some ideas about ways to avoid it. So first of all, I think we talked a little bit about the different kinds of fraud. Maybe you could, or the different kinds of scams. Identity theft, everyday theft. You want to speak a little bit about that?
Sure. Eric? Just to give you a brief rundown, I'm also a board member of FISOAS. That's the Financial Institution Security Officers Association. And we meet and we learn about all these wonderful things about the scams we all see at the credit union so that we can get a good view. And what we're seeing lately is a lot of spoofing scams and a lot of spoofing, where they call claiming to be our institutions per se. We've had that where they'll say, you'll get the phone call, it'll say Sandia Laboratory Federal Credit Union. It'll have our phone number, so it looks like you're getting a call from us, and then they gain your trust. Then you answer the phone, they start giving you information, oddly enough, like your social and your date of birth, stuff that you would think a fraudster has. They already have this stuff, and that's part of the identity theft section. A lot of these fraudsters gain this information from data breaches. If you think your information's not out there, just dispel that thought. Some information's out there, and the more products we have, like refrigerators, like vacuums, all this stuff that required users, passwords, I have a set of earbuds that required me to log into an app. All that stuff's out there and it can be breached. So the fraudsters will use this by, again, calling you, gaining your trust by giving you information and saying, well, we have a fraudulent charge here. Something of that nature, again, they can all vary. And they'll get you to basically maybe transfer money, possibly, sometimes a mule, without even knowing it, a romance scam, where you meet somebody online and they trick you into sending you checks and you send them money back. That would make you a money mule in between.
So mule, these are all these interesting terms. I think we need to write down.
Yes. Well, if I'm too far, let me know. These are kind of common terms in the fraud world anyway.
That's right. So the mule. I mean, I think when I hear mule, I think of crossing border with drugs kind of thing. Right? It's a similar idea, right?
Yeah, similar idea.
Right?
Yeah.
What the mule?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they'll try.
Sicario or whatever.
Sicario, yeah.
I've had an experience where a member had fraud. They had a boyfriend, right? 2 years with a boyfriend. The boyfriend spoke with her and really kind of got her trust for 2 years.
Somebody she hadn't met. Right?
She had met online.
Met online, so she hasn't actually physically met. Right?
No, I haven't physically met him because I don't know. I'm assuming he's out of the country. She said he's in Wisconsin. So they get her to believe, of course, that okay, I need money. Send me some money. I need X, Y, and Z. My son's in the hospital or something. My grandson's being kidnapped. You have that one too. But what they'll do is they'll trick you, like this lady, into sending money and giving information where the fraudster is able to steal her identity, hack into her account, open up new accounts with several different institutions, and send money from those institutions. Very intricate scam going on, and she didn't believe it even though I spoke with her. And eventually she called me and said, yes, I was scammed, I don't know what to do. So of course, you need to get in contact with the police if you ever have these situations, is what I said. Like anybody, you want to file that police report, save any evidence that you may have. You never know, there's stuff everywhere, text messages, anything you may get from this person. So she did so, and she's kind of part of it in a way, and that's kind of where you get to that point of a meal where she's implicit in the fact that she knew it was kind of something fishy going on. All of a sudden, a guy is buying a farm that knows this guy and sending her money. It's just so much goes on, but they can trick you into thinking that they're your friend. That's the bottom line, and that's what you have to watch out for. Anybody trying to be real kind, calling you up, saying they know you, because I guarantee you, once you don't act like their friend, then they'll start being your enemy and threatening you. But don't fall for threats either. And that's kind of how the spoofing works, though. They will call you, they'll threaten you, they'll fake numbers, and they could just be your friend and talk to you, claiming to be SLFCU. And maybe call you back tomorrow, to check on you and so forth, be your friend. So, identity theft, spoofing, all of that's big. That is the biggest trend.
Can you define spoofing? What is it?
Again, spoofing would be where you get a phone call from, and you look at the caller ID, and it says Sandia Laboratory Federal Credit. It says your phone number 2377245, right? And you think, oh, this is legit. What's going on? And then they start saying I'm a representative and I see a charge. It's suspicious. Let me verify some activity. And they actually do have the recent activity, which is fascinating, and I haven't figured that one out yet. I'm working on it. They have the recent activity, which gains more trust. And you say, well, do you see this online? It's $46. No. Okay, well, I gotta save your money. We gotta transfer money out because somebody's trying to take your money. There's various ways, Cash App, they can get money grants. They'll try and get you to send various, amounts of currency through different ways. Zelle, all these things. Money transfer is big, and these people will spoof us or Presbyterian. I got that yesterday, or actually last Thursday. I had an appointment, interestingly enough, and I got a phone call from Presbyterian spoofing the number, so I thought it was maybe about my appointment. And I answer it, and they were saying it was from, I don't even know the name of the institution, and I forgot what they said. I hung up right away. I was like, you tricked me, So yeah, everybody can happen to anybody, really, and again, pressure. Another example is today I have a part coming in from my car, right? And I see like your USPS order's been delayed, and I'm like, what? I start looking at it, I'm like, almost got me on that one,
So somebody knows that you've had a USPS. I get
or it could just, I get a lot of those. It could just be
Mass sending them out, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone gets them, right?
Right.
It could just be hot shotting it,
So,
it just
yeah.
happened by chance. I get one every day, and I'm like,
Right.
ooh, and I'm like, oh no, it's not right. It's USSPS now.
See, I always tell people think like Amazon is listening in on you, and Alexa, for instance, and you just have it's all just a coincidence, oftentimes, or maybe not, right?
Maybe not. Smart technology and AI is getting big with scamming as well and spoofing. That's where we get it. So the thing is to watch for any of those calls. If you do get a call like that, with such a high rate of fraud going on, I always suggest just hang up and call your institution. Honestly, with anything in general, if like an Amazon package, you get that Amazon text, your package is delayed or something, or maybe you have an Amazon package coming and you didn't know. You didn't order that. Give Amazon a call. Never call, click on links, things like that, because that's how they will take your identity.
It seems like most of the time, when you get a call that's unsolicited, that's the first clue, right? Do you have examples like where people, the kinds of examples you would have about what's coming into you?
Yeah, we will send out messages saying, is this activity valid, yes or no? So So if you respond, let's say you said no,
How would you send that?
it's text message, it's a call, or an email. But we would never ask for any information. So if you get, someone on the phone with you and they're saying, okay, well, what's your social? That's a red flag. If they're asking you for those, that information that technically we should have, that's a red flag. So that's usually what we see is just the texting, and then you think it's your bank, but it's not.
It's funny, just as an example about what I did trying to promote this particular seminar, I sent out texts with I don't know if you know what Bitly is, but it's a very short text. It's a very short URL that I set it up to go to my website, to go to the page to sign up for this seminar. And one of the people who I sent it to, now these are people who I've sent postcards to before, so I wasn't supposedly completely foreign, but one of the ladies responded and said, how do I know this is okay? And I realized, holy cow, the irony of me sending a text out, and it says, here, come to the scamming seminar, click on this link. And I was like, wait.
You gotta rephrase that.
Yeah, so that didn't work. What a waste of time.
I get a
But
lot
that's
of
funny. So yeah, it's like, even if it's a legitimate, you're trying to not, so I realized, I should have said, okay, just go to senioремpowermentseries.com and you'll, hello.
Hello. I think you're in the wrong place.
Maybe you're, oh, she's
No,
not
it's
sharp.
okay. Oh.
Okay, yeah, so, hi.
She with you? Okay.
Turn down to that.
Okay. Yeah, you can do it.
What's how much good is that? That's not all. I probably can't. I'm sure you don't mind.
He's grinding the pencil down.
What was the last one?
That's funny, your experience.
What's that?
Your experience is funny though. The phrasing on some things, and I got to do the same thing. It's very delicate phrasing because you send out things like come to the fraud seminar. It's like, okay, is it a seminar on fraud or prevention? So I always put like fraud prevention or possible losses because then I get, what do you mean we lost it? How much did we lose? Well, it's potential. I'm really okay. I'll put that in next time.
Yeah.
But I get that too, where we don't send text messages. We're actually going to get that two-stage authentication because of all of this. So we've always told the members, we will never send you a text. Well, now we got to change that phrasing and change it around because we won't ask you for personal information, that kind of thing. Because, like you said, for us to send you a text, is this your charge, yes or no? Sometimes they'll say no, they'll call you up, we have this charge, and send you all this, this pressure. We need to take care of this now, and there's more charges now.
So your text message says, call us if this is wrong, right?
Which it can be confusing, for sure, because you're like, I just
But do
got
you
a call.
provide a number? You don't want to provide a number either. 'Cause
Right. So in those cases, I would just hang up, call your credit union, call your bank, just to get that extra. Because there's notes, there's records of those calls or text messages. So.
Yeah, the interesting thing is like you say, processors won't talk to me sometimes. I call up and, members won't, because I'll call up and I'll say, I'm here to verify a charge, I have some activity in your account, and they say, well, I'm not supposed to talk to you, I saw that online. And I say, okay, that's great. You want to call the number back your card, it's always best to check with that. And I talk to them a bit, about, be careful with scams, and then they ask me, what's your phone number? I call you at, Eric. And I told this one lady, she was,
what's the number I call you at?
call you at? You shouldn't call numbers people give you. Never call a number somebody gives you.
Right.
Which is it. I told her, call the number on the back of your card, and after speaking with her for maybe 2 minutes, she wanted to know my number that she can call me back on, which is, again, this is how easy it is for people to fall for scams. They don't even know they're doing it half the time because they're trying to be helpful. People want to be helpful, and that goes against people because, you can opt yourself for some problems there, when you're trying just to help people. I need to help you get this email address straight or something, or whatever it may be. But yeah, people sometimes don't want to talk to me, so I can see what you're saying because they get a little nervous, like, I should talk to you. And And again, I've had a member that just couldn't stop giving me information, you know, telling me about where she works, what time, you know, and
She hadn't been scammed yet, right?
No, she was scammed.
Oh, she was?
I was trying to help her recover. I think it was the one lady I told you about who empowered herself. She had gotten scammed, lost a couple grand through Cash App, but she was so angry. And she lives here in Albuquerque. She was so angry this happened to her that she says, you're not supposed to be out this, Eric. I'm not supposed to be out this. So I kind of instruct her on what she can do, get a hold of Cash App. And eventually, after a couple of weeks of her really trying, and I really respect that, because she was just determined to do it on her own. She got that money back. She now spreads that word around, and she also brought her grandson as a member, and everybody she hears with fraud tells her the story.
She got the money back.
Yeah, she got the money back from Cash App, which is really rare.
What is Cash App?
Cash App is a money transfer service.
Like PayPal or Venmo?
PayPal, like Zelle, like Venmo, like Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. So it's all ways to transfer money, and generally you don't get that money back. Like Cash App's thing is once you send that money, it's sent. You know, we can't recover that from the other from that other card. But if she can get a hold of them, which she did soon enough that day, they put a hold on that money. So then she had an investigation started. The hold was on the money, and she got that money back. So it's really as timing. You know, that's why I try and reach out to members as soon as I find out. That way, hopefully, you know, hey, you can call here, and depending on the situation, make a police report. You know.
Well, that leads us to Eric.
Yeah.
Justin, when do you get involved?
You know, a lot of the time it's either the bank reporting it or the bank telling the member to report it. I told Eric earlier, they're the first responders a lot of the times, because a lot of people feel embarrassed and understand when you get scammed that it's not a comfortable thing to want to report as law enforcement. He mentioned earlier to me too that you might feel like you did something wrong. You might get in trouble if you talk to law enforcement or report it, or you're facing threats or whatever. So I lean a lot on these guys for their knowledge, because they see everything right away, and they're the ones constantly having to adapt. Where I'm responding to, you know, a field deputy writing it up, or I'm talking to them, you know, a long time down the road, and these guys will talk to them. Sometimes they'll catch them, you know, catch the members before they give any money away, and so they really have to adapt and overcome that.
And so when you get involved, then what are your first steps?
So I'll reach out to the victim, you know, and just get the play-by-play, essentially, if they're willing to talk to me. You know, a lot of the most common scams I see are fear-pressured or romance scams. And again, that plays on the embarrassment, or, you know, they're very adamant, like, oh, I've known this guy for 20 years, he's my friend, right? And I will tell you, a lot of the time, you know, it's really hard to talk to somebody and really convince them that they've been scammed. I will say that it's definitely tough to get somebody's money back, you know. Restitution is really, really tough. And a lot of what we see over the phone anyway, it is foreign based. A lot of these people we never identify. I will say the most common stuff that I'm able to prosecute and send to our district attorney's office here are identity theft. If it's a local person that has compromised your identity by getting a driver's license and they're actually showing up in person to the bank, and you know, we have technology and we're able to identify people in certain ways and prosecute them that way.
So then that's when you also report to the FBI when it gets across state lines.
Right.
Is that what happens?
Right. And I didn't mention that earlier. I'm also a task force officer with the FBI, and so recently, I would say a lot of scams go through what Eric said earlier, through money mules, and that plays onto the romance scams as well, where people don't even know that they're giving money away to their fake boyfriend or girlfriend, and so we have to go and talk to them, and and see if they had any true involvement in the scam or they're just completely oblivious to what's going on. So that's interesting as well.
Is there like a percentage of people that don't report? Do you have any clue? I mean, obviously this is, they don't report, so you don't know who they are.
Yeah. I would say a lot of it goes unreported. I would say, probably talking to some of you in this room that maybe been victim to scams and don't think anything's going to happen or they're too embarrassed to report. I really feel like there's quite a bit of unreported scams out there.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I think the biggest thing is always, don't be afraid. We're all here to help you, the officers, of course, us at your institution. That's the biggest thing, is just not to be afraid and empower yourself. I had one individual, he was getting scammed because he logged online to find a date, so to speak, and they were harassing him. All of a sudden he's getting phone calls that we're going to find your mom, we're going to come after your family. And because I'm sure he didn't say it, but again, it's just hard to get the information. Some people won't give you much. You have to kind of be the friend in a way. It's like, oh, that's rough, tell me what happened, and then kind of clue him in. And what I do is I piece it together too. Like the most scams with him was, I'm sure he sent a picture of his ID to verify he was real or something like that, and then that's where his address is at. They ran his address, which I did, and you get the list of people living at that house. So they're sending him this stuff and the names of his relatives, and this guy's telling him, because he sent me the text, he's like, no, I don't live in Albuquerque, and again, you're giving information away. They can't take anything if you don't give anything. That's the thing to remember. If you don't give any information, no matter how bold they are, if they could, they would already. They wouldn't be calling you. So that's an important thing to remember. So this individual, though, eventually I told him, don't answer anymore and stop paying him money. He already sent out $2,000. I said, you're out that $2,000 because, you sent it. And again, like Justin said, it's hard to recover the money, and a lot of the times it falls on the institution. And some people are under the idea that the insurance with the government that we cover is going to cover fraud. No, it's only if the bank goes under, like Jimmy Stewart style, and It's Wonderful Life. That's what that's for. So the thing is, again, that there's so much going on, so many scams. This individual empowered himself. He stopped calling. He told his mom everything and came down from Arizona to clear things up. But he was understanding. He realized, hey, I lost the money. It's a lesson learned, and he's not going to say, I want my money back. Give me my money back. It's my fault, Eric. I appreciate the help. And that's the most thing I can give is help. What I would tell somebody to help themselves, for one, avoid this. For two, clean up the mess. And for three, spread awareness like we're doing right now. I think that's important.
What are some of the internet-based scams that people actually browsing on the internet? We talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, what I'm seeing, would you like to speak?
Yeah.
I think the main one that I've seen is USPS. See that a lot. So let's say you Google,
Like
I
emails?
need to change my address. You're moving, so you need to change your address, and you click on the first link. Well, then you notice you've got to charge for $40, and you're not supposed to be charged for changing your address. And it's because you clicked on that very first link and you put in your card information. Well, that was kind of on you because you went to this fake website, and it looks legit too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you have to pay attention to the URL at the top. Like, where is this going? Same thing with those emails,
Yep.
And those can be tricky because I kind of, like I said, this morning I clicked on the USPS one and it was asking like your name, address, this and that, because they got to correct the address. And then it says, well, we got to charge you 3 cents to correct the address, which is ridiculous because these small amounts are things you want to look at on your statements. If you see something for 1 cent, 3 cents, something like that, you need to call us because that's where they test the card and then they just go to town once they can clear things. And again, back to identity theft, even they can have your ID and we can do our best with our rules and I can block certain things no matter how I can. They'll call up and they'll verify because they have their identity enough to verify and pass and say this is my activity. And then all of a sudden you get more charges going through and they just keep calling back, and that is part of the identity theft. And like
So they basically legitimized their identity through the card with a couple of small charges. Is that what you're saying?
They check on me. They first make a charge, and then they'll try something, maybe more. Maybe $200. They'll get it blocked, right? Because I have rules in place that block certain things under certain conditions. So they'll get blocked, and then the fraudster will call up and use enough information like date of birth, social security, whatever they may have, to pass the security passwords. And sometimes the fraudster will ask you the color of your car and all this stuff because that's part of it. but they'll gather enough information to pass security. We don't have too much stringent passwords and so forth. But yeah, and then they'll just say it's my activity, you know, and then again, then they start doing cash apps, Venmos, because then I can't give too much away, but then they have some options. Let's just put it that way once they do that. So again, those 3-cent charges that you got to worry about. These websites, like Deanna was talking about, are very tricky because, like I said, it looked legit to me, but I'm looking at 3 cent. I'm like, oh no. And I thought, yeah, Guitar Center didn't send me that thing in, and neither did Rock Auto. So then I started looking on the actual websites, and it was processing on the website. So then eventually I get an email when I was at my meeting today that your stuff's been shipped. And I thought, almost fell for that one. That was a good one. Almost fell, because it can happen to anybody. I'm not going to lie to you and say I'm super smart and it can't ever happen to me and I know everything. People will fall for certain things under certain kind of ideas, especially on Christmas. You're going to get an influx of these USPS and all that because people order stuff. A lot of Amazon stuff they'll start seeing at Christmas because that's the trend. We follow trends.
So were there other ways that people can, besides the URL, that you see on the internet?
I would say just to kind of look to see if there's any spelling errors, look at your website, make sure that it's actually, truly what it's supposed to be. So look for spelling errors because people are in a rush to get those websites created and, your stuff sold.
Sometimes they're actually a graphic instead of a website. It's like there's not links there. But same thing with the emails, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. There's emails that you get that'll say, you want a free Stanley, click this link. If it's too good to be true, then it's
Or it's Bank of America, and then the link is, if you actually look at and hover over the link on the bottom of the screen, it tells you what the link actually is.
right.
It'll show you on the screen there what that link is. So it's not Bank of America. Or the email is, if you hover over that, that's not actually a Bank of America email.
Yeah.
Okay, Fritz, you lost me. I don't know what you're talking about, hovering over the link.
So if you're on do you use a desktop to look at your emails? So if you put your mouse cursor over, just hovering over the link,
Just lay it on.
Yeah,
Just
but
lay
I
it on
don't
top.
want, no clicking?
No
click,
clicking.
Just
Okay.
hover it
just
over
hover
it
it over
read.
and it'll read the link. So it'll say, it should say Bank of America.
It shouldn't have a big crazy
Right.
long link either.
Oh, okay.
It looks like
Or
they-
.ru is a problem. Russia.
Russia.
For instance. So, and if you're on any web page, the same thing. If you hover over a link, it shows up on the bottom left corner of the screen.
Is this on every kind of computer?
Every page and every browser, as far as I know.
Apple's
Every
and-
browser I've ever used.
Oh yeah, it'll be on that.
Yeah, so if you hover over the link, it'll show you what the link is in the bottom left, and you can see whether or not it actually is going to, the legitimate URL, or legitimate domain that you're looking for.
And
Yeah.
look at, who sent you the email. Is it truly, who you're expecting from, or is it some random?
Yeah, so the email, same thing in the email, but then I think that shows up right there, kind of next to the cursor, right? About. So you can actually check before clicking, before you actually click on that.
I usually, if I get any emails, I'll go to the website. If PNM or New Mexico Gas, I don't like to click, just in case. Get out of there, go to the website, and pay my bills that way. I don't really click any links directly from my email.
Exactly, that's the key. Is to you might read it, then you go check. I've actually done that a few times. You go check on my website, and there's no charges. There's nothing.
So I've also seen some interesting things, and one thing you want to watch out for on websites is it has to be HTTPS up top. S means secure. It's just HTTP. That's going to be a fraud website, I'm sure. Going to
The
is not
S
secure.
is important.
Yes, it's very important. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's
Very
become much more important. It used to be, half the websites weren't that.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that again? It has to say HTTP.
S.
S.
Yeah, so
S.
when you look at on your top, like you scroll at the top, it tells your email or wherever you're at, your web page, and gives it the address, right? And in the beginning, it will always have, or it should always have HTTPS, and then it's like // / But what I'm also seeing is because of that, you get a lot of these scam websites where people will go into them and they're called like farming websites a lot of the time, where they'll ask you for
Another name, farming.
farming. It's like fishing. Fishing is where they call you and try and get all that information from you. They say, like we were speaking of, you know, what's your last charges? Is this right? So they can verify. It's phishing for your social security. Phishing
That's with a
for your-
PH, by the way.
Yeah, PH. Fishing for your color, your car. Fishing, they call you. Farming, though, is where you kind of give them information. Now, here's an example. We see a lot of dating websites being charged. Not a lot of HTTPS. It'll just be, WPCK.com. And I pop that into my browser, and it comes up with this. It'll come up with this site that says if you've been charged $39.99, go ahead and we'll refund you. Fill out this form. The form will ask you for your name, last 8 of your credit card, your expiration date, your CVV. That is farming. They're trying to get you to give them all that information now. So you must be aware of things asking you for things like that. Say, if you see a charge on your statement, you try and look it up yourself, give the institution a call. Because that's one important thing that you can do. Just reach out to us and ask us questions. We'll let you know. USPS, anybody, U-Haul, if you got in the truck and there's just give them a call. Is this right?
And farming is where they've gone to your site.
No, they set up a fake site.
I mean, they've gone to a site thinking they're going to your site, for instance, or
No.
some other site, right?
No, that would be spoofing. There, what they do farming is again, they have you'll look something up. I know it's very
Food, farm, and fishing.
yeah, spoof farm and fish.
I'm
Don't
gonna
get
look
spoofed.
at
Well, we
your
haven't
words
finished.
today.
We're gonna do skimming and shimming too.
Oh,
We can start a dance.
But here's the thing though with the farming is yes, you will go to a fake website that the fraudsters have made.
That you think is legit.
Well, you
right?
think you don't know what it is really sometimes. You think pressure. Like I say, you get a charge and you want to look up that merchant. Like, what are on this website? And then you get that thing. If you've been charged, we'll refund you. Just call your institution because that's a fraud website they've led you to this site that they think may be something that can help you.
So how do you get to a quote farm site?
You click on the wrong link.
You click on the wrong link from an email or from anywhere?
From an email, yeah, or online.
What
It's a
is
Google
the
search too, right?
Here's an example, a good example. It happened to me again. It didn't really happen, but I came across it. I read the news a lot. I was reading CNN and I came across, eventually scrolling down it. Now I should have known because I saw 2 CNN websites when I just Googled CNN, we had 2, one on top of the other. I clicked on the top one like I always do, and I clicked into this website, or to CNN I think, right? CNN. But they had all these ads like Joe Biden's given more stimulus, getting pressure, opportunity, he's giving more stimulus. What's this about? I'm gonna read this article, right? When you click on the article, well-written article, they use ChatGPT for that and all these AI services nowadays to write articles, so it's very difficult with the grammar. But this thing was very beautifully written about the stimulus, why he's giving it, and if you qualify, click here. And it was irs.ymail. IRS doesn't have ymail, so of course I hover over it and I can see where it's going. And of course my curiosity, I clicked on it to see where I go, and it took me to a site where it's asking for your credit card, your names, bank account info, all this stuff so they can send you your money. Again, another farming website that I came across. So then when I backed out, and this is interesting too because how many of you would share that, right? A lot of people would say, oh, well, check this, we're giving out money, click on this link, and they're spreading that link around, and they're gaining more information and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Of course, once I logged out and then I re-Googled CNN, it was gone. My whole website was gone. So somehow I came across that, which I found fascinating. But again, these things can be anywhere.
So if you stumble onto something like that and you're really very suspicious of it, it's one thing to just, okay, I won't be able to go away. How do you protect other people? How does this one get removed?
Well, there's
That may
various-
be like with Justin. That might be. Is there a way any law enforcement organization can help get rid of these sites? Is anybody doing that?
I'm sure there is. I don't specialize in that specifically. I would imagine that'd be on maybe Better Business Bureau or some of the federal
FTC. You can report websites to the FTC. I get a lot. Whenever I get these farming sites, I'll just send them off for fun to the FTC. Have to shut down.
Yeah, I have a friend who got scammed, and the recommendation, and I helped him a little bit. The recommendation was contact the FBI, so we sent a report to that. We sent a report to the FTC. We sent a report to the local police department, and it was like the same report over and over again. About what happened and how it happened, but it was crypto. It was they put money in crypto in a crypto account, and it was just gone. It's gone forever. Into what is it? 100-digit numbered account. So
The best way to protect yourself is what you're doing now. Coming here, learning some, and spread it around. That's the way you can protect others. Because, I mean, we can't stop them. Like I always say, I can't stop them from trying. I can only try and stop them from being successful. You know, that's what people always ask me. How can you stop this? They're going to try. They got motivation. Obviously, it's profitable in some way or form, so it's not going away. Fraud's been around forever since, card fraud's been around since the 1800s, and somebody had lost, they had taxi services, and they lost a little card because they sent it in the mail, and this farmer's like, come on, you use this taxi service, and he tosses this card, and the card gave you, like a credit card, and you charge a taxi service, which was like carriage. And the interesting thing is somebody found it in the trash, they started charging, I think it was something like $1,700, and which is a lot of money back then, and these trips, like an Uber, but you call on a carriage, right? And that actually is the first known instance of card fraud, and so I can find as far back. But the interesting thing again is these fraudsters are tricky. We can't stop them from trying, but we can spread awareness. We can learn from our mistakes, of course. If it happens to you, don't get upset, don't get ashamed. Learn from that and move forward. Like me, I'd rather take a $20,000 lesson than a $20,000 loss. That's what I was telling my members. Let's learn from this. So again, what you're doing, spreading awareness, coming to meetings and just educating yourself is the most important thing.
You just start to think about what really is going to stop them. And look at these home title frauds. Where it reaches a point where you think there's got to be someone in government. We got a home. Isn't there somebody in the government and some agency in the FBI that can stop this stuff?
A lot of it, even on the FBI side, is just gathering information.
Yes.
And it takes years, a lot of the time.
By the time we got that figured out, it's
Yeah.
already another one
Yeah.
down the road. It's been there a couple more
And
months.
so I'd like to see somebody in a debate, talk about what can the government do?
Yeah.
They're debating tonight.
And I'll just tell you from my
They're
standpoint.
debating tonight, maybe you could get your question in.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll just tell you from my standpoint, a really good white collar case for me, where I have suspect information, I have like a lot of leads, a lot of evidence, will still take me 6 to 9 months to complete. And that's just me, one case. And we get 300 and I asked my sergeant what the numbers are. My supervisor gets, so how I respond to calls, my supervisor gets a report from field deputies all over Bernalillo County that report white collar crimes, and then I'll look at the list. We get literally we average at least one fraud report a day. And out of all those reports, 30 are workable reports. And like I just said, one really good case where we have a lot of information on somebody can take 6 to 9 months to work.
Are you the only one working in case you said you're already making plans to increase your group?
Again, it's kind of along the lines of what you're saying is nationwide there's manning issues, blame law enforcement. It's really hard to recruit, it's really hard to retain.
There's also
We're doing everything we can. There are many other departments, obviously, around the nation
Yeah,
that do
and-
similar stuff.
Yep.
And so we all work as a team.
So you work with the Albany, there's also a department of the Albany Police Department that's in the front section, so there's a few people that are there. Doing similar stuff?
Similar
or
stuff.
You work together kind of?
Occasionally. Yeah, if we come across the same, like I said, we have a good suspect, we have good information, and they're involved in multiple cases, then we can collaborate and pressure a little bit more.
But that's typically going to be local, right?
Right.
And so most of this stuff is coming from,
Who knows where?
who knows where.
People
Especially on the internet. And
especially on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really depends. We actually had a skimming trend here maybe last year where I think they got like $500,000 from us, and
Skimming. Okay, let's talk about what's skimming.
Sorry about that. Skimming is where somebody will take your card information off that strip. So it happens generally on skimmers, obviously skimmers.
And where are those?
Which are things that could be anywhere where you pay. Gas pumps have them sometimes. You gotta watch out for any like broken red tape. They have that red tape. If it's broken, don't touch it because they put that there to see if there's any tampering. It's tamper tape. It's a stick of tape though.
Okay, give us a little background about this tape, because,
It's just a regular piece of tape.
okay.
That's all I'm saying, it's just a
And
piece
is
of
it
red
on
tape.
every credit card swipe that you take, or when you tap?
It'll be on gas pumps only. Gas
Only on
pumps,
gas.
and I think maybe ATMs might have some.
Now this is a
Yeah.
device, right?
But-
We're talking about a special, is it a device?
Well, the tape again is just tampered. So if you see that broken, yeah, by the service or the Land of Agriculture Bureau that does these things, I believe. So what you want to watch out for on any, get gas pump. Avoid any tampering. If it looks weird, even want to move on to ATMs. Use an ATM that looks tampered with. Like if anything's just strange, which could be a skimmer, because on an ATM, that little green thing that's seen many times where you put your card, that's where the skimmer might be. There's a variety of ways they can have a skimmer. Could be on your point of sale at your store. They have fraudsters putting facias over that, where basically you swipe your card, captures your information. If you enter your PIN, they could have a key logger, and that is what they take your key with. They know your key. Anything you punch, they know. Could be on a computer, so key loggers.
Now this is something you can identify, right?
It's tricky. You can. What I do is I wiggle it when I get to. I don't want to.
When you say wiggle, what do you
Just grab it, shake it. Or like if I go to pay at a inside, I'll like
So
start
you go to
jerking
Smith's,
on
and
it.
if you go to Smith's and buy groceries, I mean,
You grab it, why do you wiggle the machine, what does that
Yeah.
do?
Because it could be a fake top they put on, which just like the one you're supposed to see.
This is the part you need to educate us, we don't know
yeah.
this stuff.
So that's what I'm trying to say. It's like it's a device, right?
Yeah, it's a device.
It's a device that takes the place or covers.
Okay.
I can show you a picture of some
Great.
different skimmers, so you kind of know. But I always do this. Yes, I wiggle the devices I'm paying with, because what are they gonna complain? Hey, I'm gonna pay you. I want to just try and see, because if it's a skimmer on there, it'll pop off. They don't screw them on. They just snap
Pop,
them on.
pops on the top of this
I do it
legitimate,
at the
Yeah,
gas
let me see if I can
stations.
get it.
If I don't tap my card, I'll just kind of wiggle. Where you put your card in, just kind of
Just
touch
wiggle
it,
it?
because you can tell if it's like capped on there.
and have you found any that are?
No.
We'll see something like this. See, that's a skimmer they're putting onto it, so it looks just like the ATM.
Are you
So
safer
that's
than
the
when you
ATM
tap?
one that you'll
So
see.
it is safer to tap?
It is always safer to
Always
tap
safer to
because
tap?
that transaction's encrypted, so they can't take your card number if you tap.
So tap, you're
So
saying to
that's
do
gonna
the
be
tap?
the
Yeah.
skimmer.
Okay.
Oh, I haven't been
See.
doing
I'm
the
gonna
tap.
start
I
to-
was- Yeah, me too.
Some places don't have.
I know, but if they do, I'm so used to shoving the card in that I just do.
You don't even notice it.
So you
So you
jiggle
have
the machine and then that skin will pop off?
They even have fast.
Literally this
If
device.
it's loose,
If it's loose,
I
don't
wouldn't
do
use
it.
it. Yeah. And I would alert
Yes.
somebody inside.
No, they install it on an
Here's
ATM.
your point of sale one.
But you can usually
And you can watch these on YouTube. I always watch like skimmers, and there's small videos of the guy just walking in saying,
Could
"Hey,
be,
you got a pack of
yes.
cigarettes over there?" The guy turns
So-
around, he pulls it out, and snaps it on.
So Eric, this could also be on a gas pump, right?
Yes, in the gas
So-
pump. Yes.
I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
That is the ATM? So see, it's the same.
We've even seen them inside
Okay.
stores,
Snap
like
them right on.
on just a
Which
little
is
box
the
that you stick your card
That's
in.
the tape one. That's
We've
the real one.
recovered a few.
This has the
from
skimmer
Fresno County,
inside.
so.
All they need
Here.
is that.
That's amazing.
And this is kind of like.
Yeah, but see, I don't know what I'm looking at.
That's what it is.
Yeah, so if you go to the same bank or you go to the same places and you recognize what it looks like, it's just a matter of paying attention.
Got it?
Nobody saw it? So literally it's a device that gets like it says a fascia that goes over the top of it. It's kind of creepy, huh?
It is creepy.
Yeah, and then she goes inside and she just
What you expect.
yeah, it's like a little piece of tape.
But the ones that do,
It
take
actually
advantage
is
of
also a
it.
magnetic reader.
Make it more
So if you use that.
See, they will
or
snap
more
on and screen.
similar to what it's supposed to be.
Can be really modulated.
Do you buy gas?
So as far as Bluetooth,
So you know, what I do again is I just walk up.
Yes.
I mean, it's, you know,
And
That's a
yes,
nice machine. I
that
tell
way,
you.
when it's a credit card,
you're most like when you get more money
That's
back
actually
from
good.
your
Yeah.
credit card.
We'll
It's
talk
not
about
your
that.
money, it's not an immediate
So
loss.
it's the fraud that's easier to get.
They're not, they're not
Well,
taking
no,
all your
that
cash
I don't
money
know, but I'm
back.
sure it will because again, they're just swiping. If it's
I like
before
to
it's
take
happened,
cash
sure
Yeah,
it'll go through.
I think that's lost.
For my
As long
dad.
as you use an
If I
ATM,
have
It's
to,
easier
yes.
for you to get cash.
When I take out $40 and I do that, I can pay cash with it. But yeah, I would say a credit card.
What's that?
Using a credit card versus your debit card.
Exactly, that's what we were just talking about.
Okay, credit card.
So
debit
credit cards, you can always call and do a chargeback on a credit card if it's not a legitimate charge. And that's why it's always safe to use a credit card, isn't that correct?
Well, it's safe to use your credit card because you don't have your money taken out of your debit card. Now, there could be reasons or whatever the case may be where you may not get your money back. I don't want to promise anything because that's what I do. But if you're legitimately scammed, always report it and we can always look into it. But the credit card is the safest just because you don't want all that money taken out of your debit account. You can always deal with a credit card, and work through that versus I need my money back because I got bills to pay. So yeah.
Because on the receiving end of the credit card, the merchant has set up an account, so it's a little bit more traceable. It's a little bit more known. A little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
All
The
in
debit
all,
card
Sir,
goes
got a
right to your
question
bank.
on when they
Right into your
compromise
account.
at a company like, P&M or any, so what's the best thing to do? Freeze your accounts or?
Are you referring to a data breach?
Yes, the
Data breach?
data breaches,
Yeah.
because I keep getting all these letters, oh, we had a data breach, we had a
Yeah.
data breach. I mean,
100%.
how many data breaches there are that people must know my whole life already, So what do we do with those?
Yeah, I educate people. I think I talked about in the last presentation. Just lock your credit. Go to all 3 credit bureaus. You can sign up. I don't think it's on here. I was just looking through.
Credit lock is one of those. Like
It's TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. Those are the 3 major ones. You can create a free account, lock it, and then you can monitor it. It'll monitor, for you as well.
now, there's services you can buy.
Cost though, right, for that?
No.
There's services you can buy that will do that.
There are extra certs like LifeLock. Everyone's heard of LifeLock.
Freezing your credit does not cost anything,
I-
but you
well,
cannot
I
open a
need
credit
one
card
and
2 credit
without
bureau,
thawing it.
2 credit bureaus are free.
Or getting a loan, cause I used to work with
No,
an
actually,
actual
you can't.
So 2 credit bureaus are free to lock. I believe Equifax, TransUnion, but the third one, Experian, is going to charge you.
Gonna charge
Oh,
you.
really?
Charge you. But here's something you can do. And I don't represent any companies. We're just giving suggestions, LifeLock and so forth. But Aura is good because Aura will lock your credit bureau. It's $12 a month for basic membership. I've looked into that, and it's $12 a month. They'll lock your credit bureau. They'll let you know if anything's happening, any loans. They'll let you know anything on the web, on the dark web about you. They will give you that information, so at least you know what's happening and they're protecting you. So that would be what I would suggest, but definitely lock your credit bureaus. It's going to cost you just about as much as Aura would charge you a month, I think. So just a tip on that. I don't
Oh, they
represent
will
it, but
charge you.
they'll charge you $12. Where again, Experian, I believe, charges you. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they'll require a membership for you to lock your credit bureau. Off my experience, I've tried to get it for free. I'm a free guy.
Now, is locking the credit bureau? I mean, is that a last resort or is that like that's,
First.
I do that right away. I mean, you can if you're gonna pull a loan, you can unlock it and have it run in minutes. Have your if you need like your credit report run, you can unlock it on your phone, whatever.
So it's a
the day
service
of.
with the credit bureau or is it a
Yes.
service?
Yes.
How's it spelled? AURA?
AURA, yeah. And again, you have Credit Karma I use. It's free. You can lock them through there, but you gotta again pay for it.
But you can lock them if you have the
Experian.
app with the credit bureau itself, with the Experian and TransUnion.
Well, yeah, you have to have all 3 of them, right? To unlock all 3 separately. But like, if you have something like again Credit Karma, you've got 2 right there, and you can just log into that website.
Is that free?
Credit
That's
Karma?
free. Credit Karma, but
Credit Karma?
the thing is honestly, in my experience, I believe it's Equifax or Experian. I believe now it's Experian. I'm sorry, the E's confuse me. They're the ones that charge you, but I think that's the one's most used for loans and whatnot. So make sure I lock that one down. TransUnion. I mean, it just depends on who's processing the loan, but it's good to lock them down because it's also saved me from buying stuff I probably shouldn't have, which is good. I got denied.
Save you what?
Credit
Save me
card.
from buying stuff I shouldn't. You know, it's like,
Like cars?
okay, I don't need to get that car. No, usually guitars and whatnot, but but you know, I'm just saying, lock the credit bureau. That's the first thing you want to do because then they can't take anything. They'll just get denied.
What about for minors? That
Or
too?
like
Kids?
for kids,
Kids.
like how to protect them. Well, you want to keep their social security
Yeah,
safe.
so that people aren't racking up large amounts of money and they find out when they go to apply for a credit card.
Mhm. Well, no, that's a good question. Honestly, we don't see a lot of that. I have never seen that. We do offer minor cards, but I don't see that because minors aren't using it the same way. They're not putting themselves up for that type of risk. Let's just put it that way. But
Yeah, those are debit cards, right? The minor
debit cards, yeah, not credit cards, debit cards. And it depends on the institution. We are offering, we dropped our age at SLSU because we want more members. Maybe their grandson wants to get an account here where you can save for him and teach him money management, things like that. So teenagers, it happens to, yes. Little kids, no. Teenagers put themselves at risk, like the individual I told you about earlier. And this young 19-year-old didn't know any better and just messing around online. You know, online's a serious business. You know, it's not a toy. So for kids, though, I would always just say, you know, watch their credit bureau if you want to log into that. Get that set up for them so you can keep an eye on it. And
Watch their credit?
their credit bureau. You can log into their credit bureau and see if there's anything on them. You know, you can set something.
Typically they'll get
It's
a
a
loan or something, right?
Well, with a debit card, they could have something. I'm not saying, but you can always see if there's something on a credit bureau. You can log in with their information and see if there's anything that's been open. So if there's nothing, then obviously they're not a victim. But if you see something, then that's something you got to worry. Maybe reach out to the institutions because honestly, the most fraud I'm seeing against young kids is family fraud, where you have the mom, dad kind of get gas utility set up, so they put it on their kid's name, and then they don't pay the bill, and the kid's stuck with this debt they don't know about. And it happens. I mean, I'll give another story with me.
Is that a prosecutable kind of situation, or
Everything's
even if it's within the family like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, I had a member that their uncle was stealing money, but I think she was definitely involved. But she obviously falls into some money, $17 grand, and then all of a sudden it gets taken out every day until it's drained, and then she wants her money back. And then when I'm pulling images of ATMs, and I was able to get into the individual's their auto, you know, like registering cars. That's how I found out what cars they had. And every car in those pictures were linked, and eventually, once I met with the police in Los Lunas and I had the picture, and she's like, called me back the next day and just confessed to it. And it's like, oh, please don't do anything, yada, yada, yada. So I made her pay the fees, but she's still left as a member, you know, to try and reason with people. But when I was 18, I didn't know this until like I was 25. Somebody filed bankruptcy on my social security number when I was 18. I didn't know that. And I found that out the hard way when I was trying to get a car. And I thought everybody had high interest rates. Apparently it was just me because somebody filed bankruptcy on me when I was 18. Talk about being bored under a bad star there. But, you know, you clean it up, you move forward, and you learn from it. But it can happen to kids. Obviously it happens to teenagers. And it can happen to anybody because once you get your information, it's open. And schools have their information taken all the time. You know, they're more online. My daughter carries a laptop around since the pandemic. They've got so much set up that if a fraudster breaches it, they're going to have their information, and then they're going to try and scam the kid with whatever they can or sell it. A lot of it's not using it just to use it right away. They gather a little dossier together and sell it, you know, instead of selling a card number for $1 each online on the dark web. I think it's like a big dossier, depending on the person, you know, thousands, you know, could just be $20 if it's an average individual.
So what's a dark web? What is that?
Anybody know the dark web? Familiar with that term?
We've heard
No?
it, but we don't know what it is.
You want to speak on that? No?
Well,
I don't know
Why
what
not?
experience you may have with
No,
it.
you actually have more than I don't. None of my investigations have reached that point.
Yeah, because I get a lot of reports from some fish.com. There's all kinds of stuff that I get reports from our members, and I research cards from our institution. The dark web is where they sell them. So the dark web
is
the dark web is like, it's hard to explain this simply. It is the internet, a deeper part of the internet, where you need certain credentials, so to speak, to get onto. It's not linked to Google. There's a certain way, and I don't want to say too much. It's not illegal. It's only illegal with what you do with it. And anybody, but there's illegal things on there where drugs are being sold. You can get your cocaine from Bolivia, same day service, if you pay the money. You can order hitmen apparently. There's very dark things on the dark web that fraudsters use, but mainly they buy and sell information, and the interesting thing is when they're selling the card numbers, they actually have ratings. They'll have like 5 stars on this particular card bin or institution. Why? They'll tell you why, because it's successful, and they'll tell you how it's done. If you buy this card, they'll tell you exactly how to run the scam with this particular institution. So all these things are on the dark web, all this information, training.
The internet is all available. I mean, so where is this? Do people have to have a password to get into this
Dark web.
part of the web?
Well, you have to. It's always suggested you have like a VPN. I mean, you want a VPN, even if you can set up a virtual machine, which is a virtual computer where they can't get into your computer. But again, I won't go too far into that. The dark web can be got on too through the internet. But again, it's just a dangerous place. It's where bad things happen. Let's just put it that way. Everything's bought in crypto. Crypto's a big thing, bought and sold. So, and again, just to say, don't be afraid. It's just not illegal. It's what you do with it. And I spoke with the FBI. It's just people do illegal things like money. That's not illegal. It's just what you do with it. But the dark web, again, is where things are bought and sold illegally online on a special online, not Google. Not a browser like that. It's a special kind of browser.
It's a special browser.
It's a special kind of browser that you would use to log on, but you have to have a VPN set up. And I'm not too sure of the whole ins and outs because things are generally set up for me when I log on to it. But I mean, there's just some fascinating things that are on there, and you want to stay away from it though, because there's some dark things, very dark things on there, because obviously they're doing illegal things and like child trafficking, stuff like that. All this stuff can be done on there. But what we focus on for this conversation is the fact that, yes, your credit card numbers are sold on there. They will gather your information from data breaches. Data breaches can be Marriott, or it can be a data breach from like Joker Stash, which was a situation on the dark web, a little website that sold things like eBay, that sold card numbers. So these websites are like eBay.
So this sounds like a place where the FBI would be all the time. Why is that? Do you know if that's the case?
Oh yeah. I would definitely say, as far as trying to shut stuff down, I guess, to go the next step, a lot of these websites or applications are hosted in countries that don't cooperate with the United States. And so as far as serving them search warrants and like trying to get into information, I don't know if anyone's heard of Telegram. A lot of our scams happen through Telegram, and you literally need that person's device to access that conversation or to get that scammer's profile, because Telegram does not cooperate with the United States legal process. So hey, we have a username, whatever, we're not going to get any information off that person.
The head of Telegram was arrested in France a couple weeks ago. So it's still there? Is he still arrested? Yeah. So okay. That makes more sense.
So like these bad actors are using, they're smart, right? Or they're very creative in using services that don't necessarily cooperate with the United States government.
But it's all internet based. So
It's internet based.
Yeah. So I was curious earlier. You were talking about doing these investigations, taking all this time. What is actually happening, like through a 6-month period? What I mean, just a few general steps about that. Waiting for information, or
a lot of it's waiting information, or you kind of go down a rabbit hole, where one place leads you to another place, where you find additional people involved, and now you're serving additional legal process, and then you're looking for where these people are, you're trying to identify them, you're trying to interview them, or you're sending other agencies across the country. We have tons of our scams here locally are happening across the country, obviously.
do you set up any stings or anything like that, or try to?
A lot of it's reactive.
Yeah.
A lot of it we don't find out until they're already gone. We've had Sandia went through what's called takeover crews, and it's literally groups of scammers that fly in to one city, wreak havoc for a week or two, and then they fly out to another city. And by the time we catch on, they're gone. And so it's just playing catch up, and that's where the months-long investigations take.
Yeah, speaking on that, that's like our $50,000 skimmer thing. I was gonna say, the fraudster came in, they put the skimmers on one weekend, took all this money out, and totaled to about over $50,000 from our institution. They actually had $500 million.
On one machine? Is
I
that-
don't know, various machines all around Albuquerque, targeted See You Anytime because they had the skimmers for that. They took $500,000 out of all the institutions, Sandia, First Financial, everybody would See You Anytime, and then they fled off to Nebraska, right? Well, actually, no, they got caught here.
So what's See You Anytime? What was that?
The ATMs that we use that,
Okay.
if you go take out money, we have a See You Anytime, so it's like particular to our institution's a credit union. See
Oh,
You
credit union income.
Yeah,
got it.
so it's particular for that, but they actually got caught here, and they were gypsies. We call them gypsies. They're like from Romania. So what they did is they had got caught. He got arrested. He bailed out with $1,000 and had a January court date. Yeah, he's gonna show up for that. He ended up going to Nebraska and he got caught with $1 million in scam there, and they had he got caught and they had him $1 million bond. So they actually caught him finally by working with different jurisdictions because obviously, like Justin said, we work together. If we have a certain amount of information together as institutions, well then it's a better prosecutable offense, and maybe we get the FBI involved, which happened here because it was across state lines. So these things do happen. Sometimes they do get caught, but restitution, like Justin said, is very minimal sometimes, and then we take the hit for all that money. And
So are there some machines that are more vulnerable, like they're easier to have a device put on them? Because I look at the Bank of America one all the time, and and they're all the same. So, it seems like that would be really hard to put something on without it looking compromised. Is that? Do you know? Is there?
No, I mean, it very
I never
rarely
use
we
any other
come
machines.
across skimmers in general. More of the targeted scams are, through Bitcoin.
So what does that look like?
investments. So Albuquerque has how many Bitcoin machines? At least over at least 60, I believe.
Are they ATMs?
They're basically special
They'll
ATMs.
take money too. You can put cash into them.
Right, and then you can only send money. So a lot of our scams happen over Bitcoin, and where it goes usually to somewhere we can't trace.
Yeah, Bitcoin's untraceable, right? That's the point of cryptocurrency.
Yeah, and so there's actual physical ATM locations here in Albuquerque. So once people send that money off, it's gone.
And don't they have signs on them? You were talking about
There's-
signs. I've
there's
never
lots
seen
of-
one, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's signs as soon as you log in, like beware of scams.
Does it say Bitcoin machine?
Yeah, there's different companies, but it'll say that.
Oh, they're exclusive to the company, like Bitcoin.
Well, there's different companies that have different Bitcoin ATMs, and it's very new technology for law enforcement as well. So same thing, just catching up to whatever the new trend is.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Bitcoin's the cryptocurrency, if you're all familiar with that, which is
That's
yeah,
one of them. I mean,
You
that's,
can't trace it. Well, cryptocurrency, I'm not mistaken, covers a variety, right? Of different types of places that do this. Of course, there's Bitcoin. MoonPay.
yeah, so there's a variety of different cryptocurrencies.
So you got-
Bitcoin is one of them, and I just saw recently Elon Musk had an offer if you bought a bunch of Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, but a bunch of cryptocurrency, they would match it to try and get the cryptocurrency going. I mean, because there's obviously benefits to it too. It's not just for criminals.
Yeah.
But
I will say, if anyone's having you try to pay any kind of crypto, it's a scam.
Fancy money.
yeah, that's right.
I would even match that. That would be near impossible for anyone to match.
Yeah. Well, I
In
think
my mind, that's a red flag.
Yeah, and last year we went through at Bernalillo County, people were posing as Bernalillo County deputies, calling people saying they had a warrant out for their arrest, show up, pay it off in Bitcoin. So that was a big thing we went through. They were finding old and retired deputies and posing as them, or some of our current guys, they just found an employee book and just used an actual deputy or sergeant's name, and they were calling people, and a lot of people were falling for it. So.
Does social media play a role here too? So, I mean, it's like.
Oh yeah, my dead grandpa friended me on Facebook. Yeah, it's true, and it's very quick. Yeah, social media. I don't know, what do you guys see about?
I know that actually doing my ads and I also do ads on Facebook for this particular seminar. There may be a few of you found it there, but I just about every day or a couple times, 2 or 3 times a week, I get a message saying I'm breaking some rule and my information on the website is compromised and is copyright written, and I'm breaking Facebook rules and contact here, and constantly getting those messages. I did fall for it one time, so
You don't, you
and
just
yeah,
ignore it.
I just ignore it now. So
Do the social security numbers, because anytime you give birth to a baby, they get a social security number. Is that something that is being attacked? I mean, how do I know my grandkid's social security number is not being utilized for something evil or, I don't know.
how do you know?
Is the social security number something that we need to really hold and hide and?
I wouldn't say so to an extent. They need more information than just the social to do things. But again, like I said, if you're really concerned about anything, it wouldn't hurt to do some research. Like I say, log on to like a credit bureau and punch it in and try and see if there's anything there, fill out the information on a legit site.
Yeah, it'll say Experian at the top, or it'll say TransUnion. I mean, it'll be
Or
legitimate.
you could probably just call the IRS. Give them that card and ask them, social, I want to know, if there's anything going on with the social, that'd probably be right, but always go to the source.
It seems also that for a little kid, there wouldn't be any money involved.
No,
For the most
it
part.
wouldn't
Like
be.
they don't usually have bank accounts.
Hopefully. And they don't use it. I mean, how
Yeah,
many
they don't
times
use
do you
it. And they're not
use your
using
car?
it.
We're the ones that are.
Maybe when you turn 18, though, then you're in jeopardy.
Turn
Yeah.
18
Yeah.
or 17 or whenever you're using it, get a license maybe, right? That's
Yeah, I think that Facebook is more like romance. It's a lot of scams.
bizarre. It's like that.
So when you go to volunteer, like at the city or anywhere as a volunteer, they ask for your social security number. Are you safe in giving that information to something like Animal Humane, the city, Meals on Wheels, any of those volunteer places?
Would that
Yeah,
seem odd?
do what
that
you
they-
gotta do, and if they ask for it, you try to go to pay.
Yeah, they won't let you volunteer unless you give up your social security
They
number.
do a
Kind
background
of like Eric
check.
said,
They
your
do a background
information's
check,
out there
yes.
regardless.
Yeah, that's.
If you can lock it like through your credit and just be checking your stuff normally, regularly, but I wouldn't be too worried about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too
Nothing
stressed.
to worry about.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in-kind donations is what they're needing the social security number.
They do a background check.
Yeah, they don't want you delivering food to somebody, to a senior, when you are a bad person.
I'd say what you're most worried about is your username and passwords. Always change those passwords regularly, because that is where they will get into your bank account. Not your
Okay.
social. They'll just, once they get in that bank account, they can do whatever they want. They can cash out things. But as far as like online stuff, Facebook, I have a Facebook page I run. I'm a Firebird fan, so I have my own, website, and I get, of course, members and log in and hey, join, and I gotta accept them, but I also gotta scroll through. This guy's got no friends. He's got 1,000 groups. I don't want him on my groups. He's a scammer sending my members like links to click on. They'll send you, hey, send me a picture of your car, and I'll make a die-cast model, or I'll make you a T-shirt. So then that's how they open you up. Yeah, here's my information. Make me a card out of my car. And stuff like that goes on Facebook a lot. A lot of romance scams, of course. You'll see that. Facebook pays another thing that people use. That's another type of currency to send money, like Cash App. And they'll fall for it with the scammers, and they'll send stuff via Facebook, money, Marketplace. Be careful of Marketplace, anything like that. I don't buy things off of Facebook. I think it's kind of weird, and a little dangerous. So
But it's more about people coming to you.
yeah, soliciting you with a good deal. Something too good to be true, that kind of thing. So my day, a lot of my day too is kicking off scammers off my page. Makes me feel good though. I don't know why. So, I'm upset. I'm gonna have Facebook. I'm gonna kick him off.
So Dee, what are some of the scams that are most recent that you've been seeing?
So we see a lot of Zelle scams. Do you guys know what Zelle is?
No.
So Zelle, we're having trouble with that because we can't recover those funds. So once you send Zelle, it's basically cash. So once you send it to somebody, and if it's somebody you don't know, it's gone. And unfortunately, that's not something that your institution can even, I mean, you would still report it, of course, but we had a lot of Zelle fraud or Zelle scams, and we were able to recover maybe $1,000.
What do those look like? What are the?
So, for what I had a member, I called and I said, it looks like you're trying to send $1,000 to XYZ. Do you know this person? He said, well, I was trying to buy a dog. My wife died, and I wanted to, find a pet for me to have. And I said, well, do you know this person? He's like, well, I looked him up on the internet. And I said, okay, well, can you give me that website? So I went on the website, I found misspelled words, and you could just tell that something was fishy. And I just told him, please don't send this money. I know that you want this puppy for companionship, but please don't send this because it's a scam. So a lot of these bad actors are preying on people, for animals or services or things that if you don't know them, don't send them money.
Yeah, that's the most dangerous thing is when they learn your likes. When they learn your habits, what you like to do, what you like to look at on the internet, and that's where they kind of target you. I mean, just like when you look at, I hate Timu. I had to research Timu one day, and now I get his commercials for Timu on my Facebook. I get that song in my head. I'm like, stop it. But just stuff like that is very intuitive. They can find out certain things just by researching. So the social security number, it's important, but it's going to be out there anyways. What they're going to do is target you with, like puppies. Like, see, you have a puppy, we got a good deal here on whatever. You can get a nice purebred for $500 with that. That
If
kind
you've
of
got
stuff.
puppies on your website or your Facebook, you're
Yeah.
looking
I'm
at
not sure.
that.
Do people still use Craigslist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Craigslist.
Oh, Craigslist.
That's
Buy
pretty
things. I
scary.
feel like
I
that's where
wouldn't
you would come
I
into
give
a
stuff
lot.
away on Craigslist, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You
They
have
do
to
that.
see puppies that are, too good to be true.
Right.
Or items.
Or items.
Sometimes that tricks me. That makes me wonder too with the freebie stuff, right? It's like, I don't know if I trust this guy coming to my house.
Right.
Who knows where I
I'll
live.
meet elsewhere. Yeah, exactly.
But Fritz made a good point. Social media, it's everywhere. That's again one of the things. Change your social media passwords regularly because they'll find out your friends, your relatives, your favorite color, what you like to eat, where you went on vacation. All these things they will find out on whatever you're sharing. Again, they can't take anything if you don't give anything. That's what I always say. That and something I learned from Gary Busey. I'm sure you're all familiar with him. He has his Buseyisms, and the one I find most fascinating is fraud. His definition is finding relevant answers under deception. That is his definition of fraud. I think that is very true to today's era of calling you, trying to trick you into things, get you to do things you wouldn't normally do without even knowing you're doing it. They can just dazzle you with some words and just talk to you like you're a friend and share information, and all of a sudden you're just giving them info and logging into stuff. Sure, here's my username, I trust you, I talk to members who get scammed and they give me information still, and I'm like, ma'am, you're doing it again. She's like, I'm sorry, Eric, but I know you. And I'm like, really? But, I just teach her, okay, don't do that. So just be aware of all that stuff you post on social media, and that, again, they're just looking for relevant answers, That's all they're looking for.
It kind of comes back again to anything that comes to you unsolicited is going to be wary of.
Be wary of anything
that's coming.
too good to be true unsolicited inspection.
Yeah, and seniors. I mean, some seniors love it. Like my mom, she loves to talk to people. She's kind of she loves it when people call, and she they're not your friend. They're not your friend. So
people at the store.
Yeah,
I get my medication, and I have people giving me life stories just standing there, and it's like, these people open already, And I'm thinking,
Right.
You don't know who's next to you. You gotta worry about shoulder surfing when people are behind you. looking at you.
what's shoulder surfing? What is that?
People just taking a peek when you're trying to maybe enter a PIN
Oh,
number or
right.
information, just maybe looking over your shoulder to see what you're doing. Well, it's more than that. Just be a friend out of nowhere. Maybe we just stake out the Walgreens and wait for the innocent people to come, where they can just pump them for some information. And every piece of information is important these days. That's why you gotta be careful what you give away.
We have a few more minutes. Does anybody have any more questions? Jen?
I have a curiosity question. I'm gonna send your Sandia letter to everybody.
Thank you.
And they took my credit card number. How do you guys monitor that? Cause you're the ones that alerted me. I hadn't noticed it yet. Do you have computers that monitor those, or do you have people that monitor? How do you know that all of a sudden something's off and this isn't normal for my credit card?
Well, like Justin, I'm the only one that does my job. Relate so much. What I do though is I research a lot of data. All day long I'm into data. That is what I do. I pull transaction histories. I will pull declines. If anything, increase in declines, I will contact that person, or I'll have somebody contact that person.
Okay.
And so it's just a lot of data. And of course, if I come across something suspicious, I'll pull up 6 months of history and again, just analyze that data through Excel and through, all these different systems that I can use. It's always finding that clue. That's my fun part of my job. I always think it's like playing Clue. It's finding who did what, where, with what, when. It's kind of
What
like
looks suspicious?
yeah. So I want to find out who did this charge, when, and with what debit card. Charges $40. Where did it happen? When did it happen? Midnight. Got to check out those midnights. Because midnight is when a lot of this stuff happens. So a lot of my job is just analyzing the data, trying to find out the anomaly, and that anomaly is where I want to focus on, because then I will go into other members to help them. That's why information provided is so helpful. Just like I got to get my information to say the detective, make sure it's straight, make sure I got everything in line as it should be, so he can prosecute properly, or at least investigate, and then the DA or whatever prosecute.
Well, I was most impressed that, you contacted me before I even knew anything was going on. Because you're busy with your life, you don't come in every day and check your credit card.
Yeah,
So I was impressed.
I suggest if you could.
I do, I check all my accounts every day.
I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
It was impressive that you
Yeah.
contacted me.
Thank you.
This weekend I got scammed sort of for the first time in my life with a credit card. I called a credit card company because it was wearing out, and they read me my last 2 bills, and there's Bogota, someone in Bogota buying 2 guitars. And they said, oh, we'll pay for it. Well, that's good to know. But who actually covers it? Oh, we have insurance. Is there any,
The
kind
card?
of related to that, is there anything I can do with my card that I'm so negligent that they won't cover it?
Yeah, there's a few different scenarios. Like if you participate, right? Would you like to speak on this?
If we can say, that your chip card was physically used, because we can see that. We can see that you put your chip card, you put in your PIN number. It's more of a debit card
How it was
scenario, how it was ran. And we can kind of prove that it was you. But in your case, if it's somewhere from, in a different state or something,
Country, yeah.
It's like if you're participating,
yeah,
right?
I would say if we can prove that you participated, then
Yeah. Which is the research.
yes.
We'll run the
I think
data.
the keyword is participate. You participated.
Like I'll run the data. If I see like 6 months, like one member sending cash out in a romance scam, sending money to this person, and they wanted to dispute those charges now. And I said, you've been doing this for 8 months. I said, there's no way we're gonna do that because you're sending it to somebody and you've already initiated paid, so you have a history of this. So yeah, we're not gonna do anything about that. We're not gonna do anything and say your grandkid takes your card and uses it, but you won't prosecute. Well, then you're gonna have to eat that. We're not gonna eat that. So there's various things where the institution will be held liable per regulations of the government. And sometimes our hands are tied. Like I told one member, I'm sorry about this, that I can't do this, but it's just a business decision and the regulations we have to follow, or we can't refund this money to you. So yes, there are certain ways, but if you're scammed and you get sent a credit card and it's not yours and you never initiated that, you're not going to be held liable for that. Just if you really mainly are participative in the particular situation that you're disputing. Let's just put it that way. It's a pot shot sometimes, I know, it's not much of a clear answer.
Yes, another.
I have something to share. I don't know if it's what it's called, but I was checking my emails and I'm not really good about doing that. But I found that I had a new person on my Netflix account. I didn't know who it was. So I dug in there and they had gotten in, added this new person services, so all this was costing me. I tried to change my email address, they didn't change the payer because they still wanted it to be me. But I did catch it and I called Netflix and told them I didn't do this and I wanted to change that. What is that? What would you call that? Is that fraud or?
That could be just kind of like maybe an annoying thing they try and do. Like sometimes the fraudsters will tap into your cameras and
I don't know how they got hold of my
Well, they're
email.
charging.
They might have gotten to your account too, so make sure your passwords are changed and you don't have any other matching passwords that you use for your Netflix.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah, I
use it for your
changed.
bank or anything, make sure you change all your passwords.
Yeah.
How about these password companies that assemble your passwords and you have one password for everything? But they actually,
Yeah.
like, what is it called?
You know, like store it.
Yeah, they
How
create.
did we
They,
remember?
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
company that actually gives you one password that you put in,
No.
but there's this password for each of those
You
companies.
wanna change
I
it?
mean, each of the websites you go to.
I know, then you have to make a
Generate
note
password.
on those notes that you put it on.
Yeah, those are very good. I would suggest that. That's always good. I don't like storing stuff online, but no.
Keeper is one of them.
Yeah, they're really good because they'll actually be safe as they can be, right? Because nobody's ever 100% safe. But yeah, they'll create your password, and it's really good because the problem is though, I can't remember it. But then you click a button. I don't use it personally. I think you have to like click your account and then click the button that fills it in for you. My boss uses it. Me, I'm like use it or lose it. It keeps me in my brain.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, if you do have a problem, where does somebody in Albuquerque go? To City of Albuquerque first to report it or to Bernalillo County?
Just depends where you live. If you live in APD's area or Bernalillo County Sheriff's area.
Okay,
I'm sure you're gonna
so if you live outside city limits, you call the.
Report it
If
to
you
your
live in Los
institution.
Ranchos, Los
Rio
Ranchos,
Rancho.
you know, there's no rule. There's no
Los Ranchos, Bernalillo County.
If you
There's
notice
probably-
something on your card, they'll call your institution first to make sure, or if you have the app, you can block your card.
There you go.
Some
Yes.
apps you can block your card, just by logging into your online banking.
I don't do online banking, I'm too old.
Then
Well, if you log into your website,
Yeah.
you log into our website, like we at SLFC, you do have that under more, and then like card controls. And if you need help, always call us. We'll always help you to keep you safe. But yeah, you can lock your card. You can set alerts, which I have when a transaction goes through. It'll say, $9 is pending right now on your SLFC card. So you can, empower yourself that way by just keeping up on it and getting those emails by signing up for the right things. And again, if you find something like this, always contact your financial institution first, I would say, because that's where the money's coming from. You don't want them taking more money out of your account while you're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, it could be active still.
Yeah.
Each bank does have a page where you can sign up for notifications. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So
I think that's something.
there's a whole list of notifications, certainly in the two banks I use. You can go online and say, tell me when I make a deposit, or tell me when I've got some withdrawal over a certain amount of money, or there's a variety of ways.
Yeah, different ways to set up. Contact your financial institution and see what they have.
I'll just send you an email, or they'll send you a text, whatever you decide, whatever. And in the two banks I'm on, you can do both those.
Travel notification too.
Travel notifications.
You can do travel notifications if you're traveling, and if you do travel, change your PIN number when you get back. Because if you're using your card in another country, they're not as good as us because they will have some skimmers depending, like Mexico, you're gonna find a lot more skimmers, Belize, I see a lot of fraud coming out. Always change your password after travel and your PIN number.
Yeah, if you're using the debit card.
Yeah, if you're using any kind of ATM, debit, credit, change that PIN number that you're using. It's always what I would suggest.
Fine.
Cool. On the last page of your handout is a evaluation form, and I really appreciate any information you can give.
I wrote on it.
That's it.
Oh,
Take a picture.
Maybe you can get another